Mantell in studio tonight because he is going to make the announcement of the 2017 induction class for the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. How much are you looking forward to this event?
Well, it's the pump time of year, right? I mean, it's wrestling match are rolling out for the amateurs, football season's finishing up for the high school kids, and we get to announce our class for 2017. And it's always exciting and humbling for me to get to talk to the legends and visit with them and make that announcement that they're being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
There's 10, actually 11 people because of a tag team.
Yep.
But you decide on 10. So why the number 10?
Well, that's how the Hall of Fame was started in upstate New York, and we're looking at some things on the ballot, like the colleague division. I know we're going to talk about that in the second segment. The colleague division really has about 10 or 12 jobs underneath that one label. Well, there's only 5 spots on the ballot. So we've got to break that up some. So next year you're going to see a little bit different of an outcome on the voting. But we're very excited. 35 living Hall of Famers voted. We counted the most votes we've ever counted for an induction class. The classes were very equally competed, where a few votes one way or the other brought somebody in, somebody out.
Let's go ahead and talk about some of these folks. We begin with the Pioneer Division. Yvonne Robert, a Canadian, was known as the Lion, wrestled in the 30s through the 50s. Tell me a little bit about
NWA champion. You know, he was one of the first world champions from Canada. Competed all over the world. Was really known after his time in the ring as being a great trainer. Trained his son, who wrestled as Yvonne Robert Jr. Just talked to his daughter yesterday. He has 2 daughters that are still alive, and they're so proud and so excited for their father to come to Wichita Falls and represent him.
Awesome. We're going to have Dirty Dick Raines also in the Pioneer Division. And is it true that this guy was disqualified in over 1,000 matches?
That's what the history says. That's how he got that name, Dirty Dick Raines. It's been hard for me to find a lot about his family, but I finally yesterday got a granddaughter's name and number and trying to communicate with her to get some family representation for him as well here in Wichita Falls.
And it's my understanding that he spent a lot of his life in Oklahoma and Texas.
And his family still lives in Texas and Louisiana.
Okay, we've got also in the TV era, Luther Lindsay. Interesting story about his final match as a professional wrestler.
Yeah, he passed away in the ring. He did a big splash on his opponent. Referee counted him out 1, 2, 3, and Luther didn't win.
Have you ever heard a story like that where a wrestler died in the ring and won the match at the very end?
Well, I only know of one. I don't know of 2 other wrestlers that died in the ring, and both of them didn't end that way. But Luther, besides that story, is a great story. He was one of the first African-American wrestlers to break that color barrier and get on all white cards. And he wrestled Lou Thez many times to hour draws because Lou couldn't beat him. And Lou made those comments of what a great athlete and a real champion he was. But at that time, of course, I don't know if they were going to put a title on an African-American at that time.
Have you had any luck tracking down family?
He has a daughter, and we're tracking down a number right now for her.
Okay. Also in the TV era, Sputnik Monroe, who also was quite the musician, I hear.
He was a musician. His stuff is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Memphis, Tennessee. And again, a perfect pairing for this class because Sputnik was one of those guys that got to spend time during the segregation days, and he didn't believe in it. So he got arrested many times in Memphis, Tennessee for drinking and going out to eat with the black athletes in all black bars and restaurants. And he got arrested many times. But yet, when the crowd, and he was really a hated wrestler at that time, but the African-American group got behind him and they started filling the buildings up where before all the white spectators were on the bottom floor and all the African-Americans were on the balcony. And then all of a sudden, because of Sputnik's influence, they opened up the bottom floor and integrated everybody to wrestling matches. So he's really, to me, that's a very special class with Luther Lindsay and Sputnik Monroe going in together.
Great stories on those 2. And then there's a tag team going in this year, Larry Hennig and Harley Race. And Harley Race also, he had a 40-year career, opened the Harley Race Wrestling School as well. So he also was a teacher.
Absolutely. And of course, Harley was, 8 or 9-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And Mr. Hennig, of course, his son, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. And of course, his grandson today working for WWE, Curtis Axel, I believe they call him up there. But I still call him Mr. Hennig. I've seen videos of him and Harley beating people up, and when he shows up to Wichita Falls, you all will hear me call him Mr. Henny.
Well, that is actually 4 individuals and a tag team that are heading into the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2017. We'll talk about the next 5 coming up next on Sports Sunday. Next, Soma, it's time now to talk about the next 5 inductees in the class of 2017 for the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. And Johnny Mantell is here to let us know the stories behind these inductees. And in the colleague division, we talked about that in the last segment a little bit. George Napolitano.
World-renowned photographer, has pictures. Well, matter of fact, when I talked to him, I got to tell you a funny story. When I finally got a hold of him to let him know he was being inducted, he was on a cruise ship. You hear all the noise in the background. He said, "Please call me Tuesday or Wednesday and we'll make all the arrangements." His pictures everywhere. And when I gave him the list of names, he said he had pictures of everybody on that list that he had taken, other than he thought Dirty Dick Ranks. He wasn't sure if he had a picture of him.
That's incredible. And just so the viewers at home know, we're not talking about just wrestling photography. He has probably taken photographs of every president since he's been alive, and you name a celebrity, and he has a picture.
And they also say he has a huge, if I'm not mistaken, has a huge cartoon cartoon books collection. He has a huge one, of the largest in the country.
He's a character that I'm looking forward to meeting.
We're excited to have him in.
In the ladies division, born in Alice, Texas, grew up in Corpus Christi, Susan Green.
Susan Tex Green, let's just say that. There's great stories about Susan Tex Green. There's so many great stories about her, and I am so pleased that the voting committee this year voted in a true champion like she is, and she is so excited about coming and getting her custom-made American hat and coming to Wichita Falls.
Now, she was known as Sue Green, but then she adopted the name Sue Tex Green.
She left after high school and went to the Carolinas to train with Moolah to be a professional wrestler. And when she went there, there was a woman there, and her name was Sue Green, or Susan Green, and she was bouncing checks all over town. Well, the police come and got Susan Green 3 or 4 times and cuffed her up, took her to jail, and it wasn't her. So she went down and changed her name legally to Susan Tex Green, so that would never happen again.
And she is one tough character. She was sidelined for 3 years from the ring with a broken back and broken neck.
And I hear she's still today working out and training and still getting in the ring and doing a little bit.
Incredible. Now, the international Tatsumi Fujinami. Tell me a little bit about Tatsumi.
What a great guy. I had the real privilege. At 18 years old, my first trip to Japan, the main event at the Sumo Palace in Tokyo, Japan. My partner was Tiger Jet Singh. We wrestled Antonio Inoki and Tatsumi Fujinami, and it created a long session of me going to Japan and getting to wrestle for New Japan Wrestling. And many trips over there, I would end up wrestling Tatsumi for the World Junior Heavyweight title. So I had many matches with him, a class act, a great athlete, and probably, other than Leroy McGurk, probably did as much with the World Junior Heavyweight title as anybody ever.
The next guy that we're going to talk about in the modern era kind of enlightened me on international wrestling and what the difference is between wrestling that you see here in the United States and what you see in Japan. What's your take on the difference in the sport?
Well, in Japan, you better be in shape and ready to go fight, because they're going to show up every night and they're going to push you. And you better be ready to go. I remember, again, at 18 years old, I was telling Bruiser Brody, I got my first trip to Japan, I'm leaving. And he said, run every day, get your butt in shape, and go there and fight and beat them up every night. And that's what I did. And luckily for me, it allowed me 10 years to go to Japan.
One of my favorite wrestlers of all time is going to be inducted this year from the modern era, Mick Foley. Tell me a little bit about Mick.
Well, you know, Mick, there's so many things you can talk about Mick. His education, his wrestling, his entrepreneurial work, his book writing. There's so many things to talk about Mick. And I had the real privilege after Mick got started, went to Dominic DeNucci School to learn how to wrestle. And he started traveling around the country, and he came through Texas as a very early Cactus Jack. And that's when I got to meet him, and we've been friends all these years. And he's just one of those great guys that was probably in the ring. He did a lot of that crazy stuff because it really got him over, and it was different. He knew he had to be different than everybody else. He wasn't going to look like, you know, Hulk Hogan or one of these other body guys. So he had to be different, and Mick filled that role. And what a great competitor. So happy and proud to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and we're looking forward to seeing him tonight.
And he's really been a great ambassador for the
He sure has. He sure has. He's a class act. Again, an educated guy, author, an entrepreneur where he has foundations and nonprofit stuff he does all around the country. A comedian, does stand-up comedy. Now he's I guess he's the commissioner or the general manager of Raw on Monday nights for events. And when I called him the other day, he was actually asleep. And his wife said, you know, Johnny, he has a real problem sleeping. I said, don't wake him when he gets up. Tell him to call me. I got something to tell him. And he was really happy to hear the news.
That's awesome. The other modern era wrestler being inducted in 2017 and the last one, Shawn Michaels.
Heartbreak Kid, right? I mean, you know, again, another one of those funny stories about Shawn Michaels. In about 83 or 84, I was working for World Class Championship Wrestling, and Jose Lothario calls me and says, hey, I want you to come to San Antonio early Sunday. We worked in San Antonio every other Sunday. He said, I want you to come early. So I said, what for? He said, I got a kid I'm training that I think's really going to be special. I want you to get in the ring with him. I showed up, Joe Freeman Coliseum, and here's this young Shawn Michaels kid, and I get in the ring, and we worked out for about 3 hours that day. And you could tell there was something special about him that day when I met him.
When you were working out at the end of that workout, who had the tougher workout, you or him?
He did. I was old enough to know enough to push him a little harder than me.
I like to hear that, Johnny. So let's take a look at all those names again. Yvonne Robert, Dirty Dick Raines, Luther Lindsay, Sputnik Monroe, Larry Hennig, and Harley Race as a tag team. George Napolitano, Susan Tex Green, Tatsumi Fujinami, Mick Foley, and Shawn Michaels all going in as the class of 2017. You excited?
I'm excited, man. The fun really starts, the work really starts right now, getting them all in here and getting hotels and air flights and getting their rings made and getting their hats made. And the fun's really starting right now. We're so excited about it. Can't wait. May 18th, 19th, and 20th. Comedy show will be on Thursday night. The wrestling show will be on Friday. And Saturday will be the trade show, autograph line, and the banquet. And we're really looking forward to it.
We'll be there, and we hope you at home will be as well. We'll be right back with our top 10 plays of the week.